ahead and we're going to go ahead and jump into it. Thank you very much for joining us today, Jackson. This is one of, yay! I see you.
Hey.
Do you see everything all right? The screen that I've got?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it's it.
perfect. Thank you for being one of our very first stream guests here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jackson. Jackson, can you tell us who you are, where you're from, how old are you, and what your life was like before your first tattoo?
All right. So I'm Jackson. I'm an apprentice at Underground Arts Tattoo in Wellington, New Zealand. Um, Little New Zealand in the corner of the world where COVID is barely a thing.
I'm jealous.
um, yeah, I'm 19. I'm also studying at Massey College of Creative Arts in Wellington, doing a fine arts degree. So a bit of a juggle, but that's all right. What was life like before my first tattoo? I don't really remember because I got my first tattoo like I think a week after I turned 18. Um, like very quick off the bat, but I think I was raised like reasonably conservative,
Mhm.
so um, my parents didn't see any of my tattoos until like this most recent Christmas.
Did your
Um,
parents did they raise you saying, "Hey, don't get a tattoo," or was it more of a,
um,
"Hey, we'd really like it if you didn't"?
I yeah, it was definitely like a "Oh, don't get a tattoo." Like, I don't think it ever came up that much, but it was just
Mhm.
very obvious that it was not what they
Mhm.
wanted. But yeah, they're not super pleased with my career choices at this point, but that's all right.
What was it that drew you to tattoos? Because growing up and they saying, "Hey, please don't get a tattoo," do you think it
Mm.
was them saying, "Hey, don't do it," and you're like, "Well, now I got to go do it," or was it more of just the art form itself that attracted you to that?
Definitely a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a healthy dose of teenage rebellion in there. But also I've always been an art person, hence
Mm-hmm.
the fine arts degree. I've always been interested in pretty much any art form, and I find it fascinating that, especially even the history of it, that we as humans, we've just always wanted to customize our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
We've always wanted to change our bodies and draw on ourselves and do piercings. And I think I think it comes out of this need to take ownership of something that we had no say in, because
Mm-hmm.
you're born with a body. That's
You get what you
that's
get.
that. You get what you get. And then people getting tattoos, getting piercings, all of that is just people sort of, I think, taking ownership, which I think is really cool, but it's also very artistic, which is my shtick. So,
Mm-hmm. For like people that don't know body modifications tattoos, the oldest person known to have had tattoos is Otzi the Iceman, and he's over 5,000 years old. They found over 30 or 40 tattoos on him. So it is something that even though we're born with the bodies we have, we've always been wanting to do it. I mean, I'm sure at one point we're all in high school bored drawing on our own selves. Some of us just wanted to
oh
make that
yeah.
drawing permanent. Um, when did you first start getting into art? In general, was there a point where it clicked for you, like this is what I want, and then tattooing in particular?
Honestly, I was one of those kids that started drawing as soon as I could pick up a pen, as far as I know, and just never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It never stopped. It was the reason I ended up going to art school was there was nothing else I'd ever done that I'd done my whole life. Like it never stopped. It was
Mm-hmm.
always something I wanted to do, and I think I had always been interested in tattoos. I'd always wanted to get tattoos. I've been getting tattoos as long as I've legally been allowed
Mm-hmm.
to. And I think me wanting to be someone giving tattoos came from a place of probably partially what the fuck am I going to do with my life? Because otherwise, my degree is kind of like painting and unemployment. But like partially that, but also I was I was getting tattooed and I was thinking about it, and one of my flatmates was apprenticing and it just sort of presented itself as a good idea to me. And ever since having my apprenticeship, I've just really enjoyed the whole process. Really, I did my own shin, and I've done one other person's rib tattoo, which was fun.
Uh,
Um,
I
yeah,
I have my rib done, and that
yeah. I don't. Well, she sat like a champ, but like
mhm.
the the hardest part was when you breathe, your ribs move. So it
So
moves so much more than someone's like leg or arm would.
where it just sits there. What's
Mhm.
the tattoo culture like in New Zealand?
Um, I think there's definitely two or three sides to it. So we the indigenous population of New Zealand, Maori, is has a really rich tradition of tattooing
Hmm.
called tamoko or kitatui, and it's fascinating to me. I think it's really cool. They've got some gorgeous designs, and it's a long history, and their tattoos have a lot of meaning.
Hmm.
Obviously, that was super stigmatized through the process of colonization in New Zealand, and it's starting now to become more acceptable. Um, Only very recently were like our national airline allowed like tamoko on their air hostesses. Like you're not allowed visible tattoos, but they are only just allowing now traditional tattoos, which was wild because their logo is a
Hmm.
traditional Maori design. So it was sort of like
What?
it was sort of like, oh, okay, so you can put it on your plane, but
But we can't
your
actually have it
hostesses
on us.
can't have it on your body. Yeah.
That's kind of the
Um,
appropriation at its like most
exactly. Yeah.
accurate. Is this
Mm.
the tattooing that I see on like faces and whatnot of
Yeah.
indigenous people?
Yeah, that's usually, as far as I know, don't 100% take my word on this. Obviously, I'm white, so. But as far as I know, that's usually referred to as tamoko.
Hmm.
And so the men's one is that they get the whole face done. There's like different meanings for different sections of the faces, and you get like different designs based on your heritage, whether you speak Te Reo, all of that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And then the women just get the chin
Hmm.
tattoo. Yeah.
Okay.
But
So
the
let's. Oh, sorry. Go. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, the sort of moving on to the I guess the other side of tattooing in New Zealand is I would say it's come along pretty similarly to the way it has in the rest of the world, like
Hmm.
Western styles of tattooing. I think it's just become a thing as the world gets a little more, I guess, liberal.
Is there a
And
predominant style of tattoo that's popular in New Zealand?
not really, from
Hmm.
what I've seen. I think I think a lot of tourists get like Maori designs, or like people that have immigrated to New Zealand get them because it's like a show of like love for the country that they
Hmm.
found, kind of thing. Um,
Is that generally
but I don't
accepted
really,
or okay by as seen?
really depends who you talk to. Some people think sort of like absolutely fine as long as you're not stealing someone else's design, because designs are custom to that person. So
Hmm.
if you take someone's design, you're getting like their life story tattooed on you, which is just a
Kind of
terrible idea for everyone involved.
a bit of a dick
Um,
move.
yeah, exactly. But like, there's also some people who are sort of cagey about it,
Hmm.
that like think it's like, no, this is for people who are from this culture, that is their thing. um
Understandably so.
Personally, yeah, personally, I don't feel like it's my spot to have an opinion on it. I'm
Hmm.
sort of like, I'm going to leave that up to the people whose culture it actually is.
Okay, so let's go ahead and actually just start jumping into your
Yep.
tattoos now. So, which one did you get first? Was it
The smallest dragon down on my ankle is the first one.
was it these ones?
Yeah, the small one there.
All right. So, tell us about these. You got these as soon as you turned like right after you turned 18?
Yeah, they were actually on separate occasions. So the bottom one was the first one, and I got that pretty much as soon as I turned 18, because I when I was 17, I did like a really shitty stick and poke down on my ankle. It was literally just a line. It's hidden under the tail of the dragon there. And I'd always wanted little dragons down there. And I was like, first things first, we need to get this shit covered. Because it was like, I'd done it with like a needle attached to a pencil and like Indian ink. And it was like
Ooh.
pale gray. Like it was so faded and so shit.
Did you
But
just
I was like,
Google like how do I stick and poke and just pick
yeah,
up?
pretty much. I tried to be clean and I had like alcohol wipes and stuff, but like it's never going to be ideal. Um, that happens quite a lot in New Zealand, actually.
Hmm.
A lot of teenagers have just like little stick and pokes that they do like in their fucking classroom at lunchtime and stuff. Um, but yeah, that was essentially to cover that up.
Hmm.
And you can see that it's healed lighter than the other one, because I got it like a week before I went on a summer holiday. So
Oh, so it got exposed to the sun
yeah,
and just
yeah,
not a
pretty
good.
much straight away. Yeah.
How soon after the first dragon did you get the second one?
Um, it would have been maybe 3 months.
Hmm.
Um, I the story of that one is that I'd sort of been thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I reckon it needs a second dragon because I'd originally wanted two, but I wasn't sure about it, so I just did one and was like, okay, we'll see what happens with the other one. But it was a few months later. I'd just been broken up with. I was going to a party that evening, and I just emailed the tattoo shop that I got in the first one. I was like, "Oh, you got time this afternoon?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, right." So I just popped in and was sort of like, "I want one in the same style as the first one," but like I like just sort of showed them a photo of the different kind of positioning,
Hmm.
um, off Pinterest as you do. Um, yeah, it was sort of just like it was partially like a I've just been broken up with. I need to change something about my life.
Something
But
needs to happen
also,
now.
yeah,
Something.
yeah, I was just like, I'm just gonna do something. Like
Hmm.
I need to do something with my time. Like it was either like, when you're in that kind of position, you're like, I'm gonna dye my hair, I'm gonna get a
Oh yeah.
piercing or like something like that. And I'd wanted this anyway, so I was sort of like, oh, what the hell. Um, yeah, so it just went, and then I went to the party with the glider wrap still on it.
Mhm. Why a dragon? Do they hold some special meaning? Do you just think that they're badass? What's the deal behind the dragon?
Um, I think as most tattooed people will have, I've had a Pinterest board running since I was about 14. Um, and it was one of those, it was something I was just sort of drawn to, but
Hmm.
also I've always been a big fantasy reader, so I like Game of Thrones and Harry Potter and all of the things that have dragons in them.
It makes sense.
Uh, so I was sort of like, if I get this dragon, it can be Norbert from Harry Potter, but it could also be one of Daenerys's dragons, or like it can just be all of them.
It could be one of
And
the
it,
dragons that the who are they called? What from Lord of the Rings?
oh yeah,
The
it could be Smaug.
okay, it could be Smaug, which would be dope.
Yeah, yeah. I've just always kind of
Mm.
always kind of liked dragons. That's why I got the first two, and then
How did the first one build up? So you had your stick and poke, and then we were like, "This, no, I gotta get rid of it. I gotta cover this. I don't want this scene."
Um, it was it was kind of that. It was sort of like I was thinking like I want to get a tattoo. Pretty much
Hmm.
this was like leading up to turning 18. I was like I want to get a tattoo. I had a lot of ideas as I still do. I think everyone does. Just have a
Hmm.
lot of things they're thinking about. But I had a lot of thoughts and I was sort of like I think first things first. We just got to get this shit sorted. Just got to get rid of it. Yeah. I think it was just I was like, I
Mm.
need to sort this out before I do anything else.
Okay. And are you happy with the cover up? Do you wish at this point you still had your stick and poke? I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are like, I kind of just want to just kind of scratch myself up a little bit. Would you
Yeah.
what would you
Um,
say to people who have those same thoughts you had kind of floating around?
I think uh I wouldn't say I regret covering it,
Mhm.
but I would say to people don't feel the need to cover it. I don't think you have to. Um, like if you want to keep that little shit stick and poke because your friend did it at a party or something like that, if it's got a good memory,
Mhm.
as those things tend to have, I think that's good. I think I would encourage people maybe not to keep it, but to consider that as like a valid option. Like your tattoos don't all have to be good.
They don't have to look badass and like super
Mm,
cool or have necessarily a meaning behind them. If the story is something that means something to you, think about maybe keeping
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people should consider keeping their shit stick and pokes, and even if they know, even if you're like, I'm aware this is terrible, but that's okay.
It's a little blown out. Might have been infected at one point, but why not?
Yeah, exactly.
So which one did you get after this? After these?
I got the falling Icarus on my bicep after that.
This one?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I this was just another walk-in actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a again had a weird day at therapy. Was walking home and I was like, ah, maybe I should get a tattoo today. So I just sort of drew upon the repository of things I kind of wanted and walked in and got it. I
And
think it's really nicely done, actually.
no, it really is. And for people who don't know what to look for in tattoos, what would you say really sticks out to you about this that they should look for if they're looking for a tattoo?
It's clean.
Mm-hmm.
The line work is clean. The artist listened to me on what I wanted with like there was this is from I cannot remember for the life of me what painting it's from, but it's from a classic painting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the like if you move it up a little bit, the back leg.
All right, we're back. Okay.
Mm,
Let's see. Let's go back to the right thing. Do, 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 do.
it's still frozen on my end, but that's all right.
Oh, let me refresh it. Wait. Oh, there's one more thing I got to do. Like I said, still figuring out everything. I'm sure my
Yeah,
computer's
it's
a
all right.
little too old for it all. All right.
Yeah,
So now we're back. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Cool. So, this is on your arm. The last ones were on the ankle. How about the pain? Always, people want to know
oh my
about the
god,
pain of a
yeah.
tattoo.
So started with ankle, so that was my like metric for everything.
Mm-hmm.
um I would say on the scale of things, pretty bad as far as tattoos go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe not the worst spot, but it did go down onto my Achilles, so it's um, quite gnarly. Uh, but I didn't really think much of it. I was just at the time I was like, okay, I guess tattoos hurt this much,
Mm-hmm.
like decently bad. But then when I got my calf, I was like, holy shit, because calf is so bad
Really?
compared like you wouldn't expect it.
No,
You
I'm
I
thinking
think
about it.
that's I think that's why it bothered me so much. I did not expect the fleshy bit of the calf to be that bad, but it really was.
Because like I've gotten my thigh done, I've gotten my side
Yeah.
done, my arm done. Like yeah, the ribs hurt, the legs seem
Mm.
fine, and so I picture getting a calf, like kind of muscly, not too bad. But I guess if
You
it's
would
soft,
think.
you would think.
Yeah. Yeah. So that when I got the calf done, I was sort of like, Jesus, like God. Mm. Um, but then like moving up to the bicep, I was
Hmm.
like I was expecting it to be so much worse than it was, and I was like, oh shit, that was easy.
Well,
Like bicep,
because I'm
I
scared. I'm
did
scared of the
not.
bicep. It seems
Nah.
soft and fleshy and spongy and like it would. Ugh.
Right at the front, and so like like right at the front and around the side, the
Mm-hmm.
like side of the arm's all right. It gets a little funky when you get onto the inner side of
Mm-hmm.
the arm. That's a bit more sensitive. But the right on the front of the bicep was pretty chill.
Mm-hmm. And then, do you have anything you want to put around with this, like as far as plans go, going around Icarus falling? Do you have any ways that you like want to build around this, or did you just go to the artist and be like,
Um,
"Hey, I want an Icarus. Where do you think it should go?" Or did you have plans
no,
for the arm?
I definitely had this planned.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of spontaneous side of it was just
Mm-hmm.
like actually going and doing it. But yeah, I had it planned that I wanted it like very much in the center of the bicep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when you're just standing face forward, it's right in the middle, falling down. Um, as far as plans around it, that arm is the same arm as the Medusa is on, and that's going to be my sleeve arm. Um, I will have other stuff around it. I've got a lot of sort of bits and pieces kind of thoughts, but I like the sort of sticker look, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Like
Just
the
there by itself, kind of just
yeah,
placed it.
I like um I'm gonna have a sleeve that's made up of a lot of different bits and pieces as opposed to one cohesive piece.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's got a bit of a Greek mythology theme running at this point, um, which was semi-intentional. Um, but yeah, it'll keep going along those lines, but it's going to be sort of separate pieces.
And a lot of people they get uncomfortable with the idea of how do you just put something just there permanently, and like you don't know what you're gonna do around it, and like they just see one and like you're gonna do like how do you not
Like,
have it
where is
all?
that going?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
how do you come up with that? I need to know everything, and dealing with the permanence of, well, now I have to go around it.
Mm.
If do
I
you get
think
yeah.
I'm the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
I The idea of doing the whole thing in one go kind of scares me because like I feel like if I get a whole sleeve that's like one design, if I don't like that design anymore, it's the whole sleeve I don't like. Like if I get a lot of little pieces that make up a big sleeve, if I don't like one design, that's just one little bit of it.
Mm-hmm. Our viewer exercise confidence. She asks, "Is there any reason for the Greek myth theme for the sleeve?"
Percy Jackson.
Oh, okay, okay.
uh, I was a Percy Jackson kid, and I'm doing a paper of Greek mythology in uni at the moment. I find it really interesting, and I find myths in general really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
um, because just humanity's always wanted to think about like what makes up the world, what's going on, why is this happening, why
The
are seasons
why.
a thing, how did we came to be, all of those things. And I think myths explain or like try to explain all of
Mm-hmm.
that. It's where science came from.
Well, it for the sorry the Norse, or sorry for the mythology tattoos that you're getting.
Mm,
Obviously Percy Jackson. Is there, because there's thousands of stories to choose from, thousands of
yeah.
characters, thousands of gods and whatnot. What are your deciding factors and which ones you put on you?
um which ones are interesting to me? um I like Icarus because the whole like shtick of the story is that he flew too close to the sun and the wax melted on his wings and he
Mm-hmm.
fell to his death. But the thing I find interesting that kind of resonates with me is okay, he flew too close to the sun and he died. But what was his other option? His other option was staying imprisoned in a maze for the rest of his life. Like I would rather fly and fall than be imprisoned for the rest of my life, I think.
Shit, I didn't. I knew the wax and the wings thing. I didn't know that it was.
Well, yeah, it was him and his father. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. I can't remember if it's Daedalus or Daedalus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, were trapped in the labyrinth that his father built, and that was their way of escaping.
And do you think? like there was a certain point when you were reading the story for the first time, the second time, that you're like, this is definitely the one that goes on my skin? Because one of my tattoos is like I got a Pokemon tattoo,
Oh
and
yeah.
there's, I mean, at this point, hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon tattoos.
Mm,
I'm not gonna get them all. I have to choose the reason, like, for that
yeah.
specific Pokemon. What is your deciding factor and win for these things?
I think I hmm, I
And if
didn't
there,
sort of read it for the first time and immediately go, yes, I'm tattooing this.
mm,
I sort of read it initially. I was introduced to it. It's actually sort of in the Percy Jackson novels, and I was thinking about the myth, and I was sort of like, this kind of sucks. Like it's like a hubris myth, and it's like a idea of like don't like be too ambitious, otherwise like you'll fail.
mm,
And I didn't really like that, but I found the design before I found the like meaning. Like I
mm,
found the design and I was thinking about the myth more. I was like, if I'm gonna get this like myth tattooed on me, I feel like I have to be happy with um the meaning of it. And I was thinking about it. And I was sort of like, that's when I sort of realized like what was the other options for
mm.
Icarus. Like his options were fly and potentially die or be imprisoned forever.
Well, what's really nice
And I
is it's
sort of
not
like,
just the meaning that is known, the meaning that is told about, the meaning that you're supposed to derive from it. It's you chose the tattoo based off the meaning that you found within it, not just the face
mm,
value, but the other side. Do you
yeah.
ever, when people ask about this tattoo, do you ever have to go through the whole explanation, or do you just, oh, it's just this?
Usually I just sort of say what it is, and I'm like, I like it. It looks cool. I
For
think I just say like, oh, I saw something on Pinterest that was similar to it because I definitely did at one point.
oh, I mean, usually
I
for
don't
me,
usually go in the whole explanation.
it's the visual medium, like seeing something visually that
Mm,
triggers, oh shit, this could be a good tattoo. And
yeah.
oh, which actually, another question for this tattoo and your dragon ones, did you,
Yeah.
you said you presented your first dragon to the artist, which, who are the artists for the dragons, by the way, for
Um,
artist credit?
I cannot for the life of me remember who did the second one,
Mm-hmm.
but the first one was Luckman Tattoo at
Mm-hmm.
Union Tattoo in
Okay.
Wellington. The second one was also done at Union, but I can't remember the artist. I don't think I ever got told who the artist was for the Icarus. It was just like a really quick walk-in. But he was at Monarch Tattoo in
All right.
Wellington as well.
Okay. And then after this tattoo, after the Icarus, did you get your Medusa?
Um, no, after the Icarus, I actually started working on my shin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this came about just because I was sort of talking to my mentor and I told him that I showed him the dragons that I already had and he was like, all right, like this can be a good way of me teaching you. Like we can do a big dragon project. He originally tried to talk me into doing it like all the way up my leg, and I was like, I don't know if I want a full dragon leg though. um, but I ended up doing this over 4 sessions with a bit of his help around the side of the like where it kind of goes onto the calf, just because
Mm-hmm.
that's a really awkward angle to reach. Um,
And if I heard you correctly, you
and
said you were
just
doing
yeah,
this on yourself. This is your,
yeah, yeah.
how is that?
It's I think honestly, as far as like pain goes, you're not even thinking about it. You're just focusing so hard on like this line has to be right because this is permanent.
But you're thinking
Like,
about that when the other tattoo artists are doing it.
yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot more trust when it's someone else doing it, and you're like, this is someone who's experienced. Like they're an artist. They've done this a million times. They know what they're doing. I'm just gonna sit back and relax. And then you all you have to think about is the pain. But when you're doing it on yourself, you're not. I wasn't even thinking about oh this hurts. I was like, this is the first tattoo I'm doing on anyone. I have
Mm.
no experience in this. I need to get this right.
And what was the sensation like? Because did you practice on other objects first? Because I know sometimes artists
I
practice
did
on
a little
oranges,
bit.
fruits, fake skin.
Um, I not really. I sort of just got thrown in the deep end because my mentor's logic was you learn twice as fast practicing on yourself because you're trying so hard not to fuck it up. Like I I tried with like my friend's machine on an orange, like before I even got my apprenticeship. We were just sort of messing around in the living room of our flat. Um, but then once I got my apprenticeship, the first like tattooing I did was I started the tail right at the bottom. I just did the tail.
Hmm.
And then I did a little bit of fake skin in between that and my second session, and I haven't used any fake skin since. I've just worked on this.
I mean, for your own tattooing work and for one of your first times on skin, it's really impressive, especially the intricacy. Did you draw the like all of it yourself and then put it on the transfer paper and just
Yeah,
go from there?
yeah. I did it over 4 sessions. So the first session was just the tail. The second session, I did the outline of the most of the whole thing.
You'll have to forgive
Um,
me. Which part of the dragon is the tail? Because I don't know where the
so
tail starts.
right down at the bottom. So right on the ankle
Oh,
is the
okay.
tail. And then it sort of, yeah, it sort of winds up and loops over itself quite a bit. Um, Sort of,
That's great.
yeah. So I did the outline of the first of
Mm-hmm.
pretty much all of it the second session. Um, and I had quite a bit of issues with the ink falling out at that point. Like after that healed, quite a lot of it fell out around the head of the dragon and the just sort of the bits around that. I
What does
think that
that? What
was
does the ink falling out mean for our people that are watching that don't know?
um I think it just means like it's there when you first tattoo it, but then as it heals, it just like falls out with the scab as the scab falls off. And I think that's usually because you either haven't gone deep enough or your
Mm-hmm.
skin just rejects it,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was sort of a bit of both in
Mm-hmm.
that head area. I had a lot of trouble getting this ink to stay in the skin there. I'm not sure what was wrong with it. I think the skin's just a bit funky. Some people just have areas of skin that don't like to take ink.
And how is the pain on here? Because that's almost on right on the bone for most of
It
it, and
is.
then how?
It's pretty much all on the bone. Um, Weirdly, way easier than the calf. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so weird. It's,
Do you
I
think that
don't
was
know
due to the
why.
adrenaline of you work? Is there any adrenaline when you're doing this, or is it more of just like a
Um,
laser focus that you can't even feel the adrenaline at that point?
I think it's definitely more of a focus. Maybe a bit of an adrenaline situation, like with the first session, because I was sort of like, I'm so nervous. This is the
Hmm.
first tattoo I'm doing. But like it it was, I don't know why, but the shin was just so much less sensitive than the calf.
Hmm.
And I think that's probably got something to do with the fact that, like, walking around day to day, you hit your shin on things. It's not such sensitive skin. It gets a lot more wear and tear than your calf does, I
Hmm.
think.
That's fair. And
That's my
it's it.
theory.
And honestly, like in regards to like when you've have you tattooed any clients yet? Or are you still in apprenticeship
I've
and have
done
not had?
one.
Hmm.
I've done one of my friends. I did a little it looks like a My Little Pony, but it's actually a like little Pegasus from the movie Fantasia. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's very old.
It's
The one
fantastic.
from
It came out.
19
Oh wait, the
the
old
one in
old one,
1940, the old one.
not the one that
Yeah.
came out in 2000. The one that it would.
No.
Oh
The
geez.
1940 Fantasia just has this little horse in it. And I originally drew up the Flash because my sister would always tell me whenever we watched it as kids, "Oh yeah, that one's you," because it was like the little one that like it was the youngest. It couldn't fly yet. Like it like fell down and ate shit all the time. It was so funny. But like she would always say like that one's you. So I drew up a Flash of it, and then my friend got it on her ribs.
Were you able to just be like, "Hey, look at my leg. I did this. I can do you. I'm good. I got this."
Kind of. I was My mentor was sort of like, you need to like for your first couple of things, you
Hmm.
need to find like this is like your friends and family stage. You do before we like unleash you on like normal clients, you do friends and family, like people that are gonna like forgive you if it's bad. Um, so I sort of just like asked around friends. I was like, who wants a really cheap tattoo?
Cost of materials, let's
Because
go.
yeah, well, because like basically like starting out apprenticeship rates are
Oh, hello.
yep,
Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. You
just
said
dropped
start.
out there, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said
apprentice
starting out apprentice rates.
very cheap for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get what you pay for. Um, but yeah, I ended up doing that on her ribs last week. That was my first client tattoo, and
And your
sort of moving on
mentor,
from there.
he
Yeah,
suggested that this would be a great way for you to start. Was it? Did he say, "Hey"? Obviously, he said, "Do a big ass dragon," and you wanted
yeah.
to keep it small, which I did not have the ability to say no. I wanted two
Oh,
little dragons
really?
fighting each other, right, just right here, and
Yeah.
my dude's like, "Nah, dude, let's go." And so I got sucked into like a 25-hour tattoo that should have taken 10 hours, but
Mm.
so good on you for that. But what was the
Yeah.
dragon for? Like, just
It was it was literally because I already had two dragons, and I had kind of considered in the past getting a dragon, like kind of the style of like Chinese, like Oriental type dragon
mm-hmm,
around the ones that were already there. I'd sort of thought about it like a while ago, just one of those kind of ideas that you're like, okay, maybe one day I'll do that.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I mentioned that to him when I showed him that, and we just sort of worked on it as the idea together. He was sort of like, yeah, like go all the way up there because he does a lot of really big dragons. That's kind of his thing. A lot of his like long term like projects clients have like full body or like full leg dragons.
And who is
Um,
this, by the way? Just
oh,
so.
yeah, his name's Steve Maddock. He's the owner of Underground Arts Tattoo, and he started tattooing in like 1983 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he's been tattooing for so long.
And I'm gonna go back to that in just a second. Actually, just
Mm.
one last question with this one: Are you planning on? Do you have any more? Are you planning on keeping this black and white? Are you gonna get it colored in? Is it just gonna be
Mm.
a long-term project? Or are you about done with it?
I'm done with it for now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things that I do want to do with it. Like I'll do some touch ups here and there. You'll notice I didn't notice this until completely a while after. I completely forgot to do the scales on the hand of the dragon there. Um, you'll see, so that's missing. So I'll do that, and I'll do some touch ups. Probably go over the scales at some point because they look good from far away, but when you look up close to the lines, they're a little funky. Uh, but I'm done with it for now. I'll see when I feel the need to go over it again. I'll have
And
another go at it.
before we jump into your next tattoo, because we were just talking about them, how did you get your apprenticeship?
Mm. I basically towards the end of my first year of uni, I was sort of like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna find an apprenticeship. So once I'd finished all my final projects, I just started putting together a portfolio. I put together like I started with like 20 drawings or something. I went into my friend's shop, and the owner of the shop was like, okay, like your art is great, but you need to show us that you can do tattoo designs. And she just gave me a lot of really good advice, mostly around like you need to show you can do the what we call like white chick tattoos. You need to
The
show
the
that you can do the dandelions, you can do the heartbeats, you can do the roses, you can do the like all the basic stuff that
Mhm.
honestly your mentor is not going to want to do. Um,
So when that
so
person
you need
comes in,
to
they say it's your job. You go get.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially. You just need to show that you can do all the basic stuff. So I did a bunch of that, and just kept drawing. Went into I would just go into a tattoo shop, and they would say no, and then I would go home and do more drawings, and then I would go into the next one, and I just kept doing that until someone said yes.
And they who was that? What made them say yes, or did they just say, "All right, you've bugged us
Um,
enough. Go ahead, I'll take you on."
I think it was I just sort of struck luck that they were sort of they hadn't started looking for an apprentice, but they were planning on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's quite a small shop and they're trying to do some other things out of the same space as well. And the same space is the National Tattoo Museum of New Zealand, in the same space as the tattoo shop. So they're just trying to do quite a few things out of the shop, and they basically just needed like extra um, people that can do tattoos. Like he didn't want to be doing all of the walk-ins anymore. He just wants to do his projects. He wants to
Mm-hmm.
do his big cool shit. So I sort of came in at the right timing, and he liked my stuff. So he was
I
sort
know.
of like, all
I
right.
I know it's very early, obviously, in your tattooing
Mm,
career, but what do you want your projects to be when you hit that echelon, when you hit that period where you
yeah.
can do whatever, like only the things that you want to do? Is there anything in particular that you want to focus on, styles, subjects, or are
I
you
have
still open to
no
everything?
idea, honestly. I don't know yet, but I am interested in portraiture a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Because I've done a lot of that in my other art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I'm probably just going to mess around doing a bit of everything until I sort of click with something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also, right now, my plan is sort of apprentice, finish my degree, work, like just try and improve, find a style, and as soon as I finish my degree, provided COVID isn't still taking over the world at this point, I want to travel all around Europe and do guest spots at like
Oh.
shops all over the place. Like I want to like tattoo in like Venice and Rome and Paris and like all of those kind of places, like the really stereotypical ones. But
Mm-hmm.
I just want to do like a week in each place and just tattoo there. I think that'd be really cool.
How do you get a guest spot? Do you have to reach out to the shops,
I
or do
have
you hope they reach out to
I have
you,
no
or
idea. I reckon I'll have to probably reach out to shops.
do a couple, just a please, 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 please,
Please.
please. I'm worth it, I swear. Um.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
whoops.
think part of it is you've got to have I think for you to do guest spots, like you've got to have a style that people want.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to
And,
be worth it for the shop.
and that people really are waiting for you to be in their area.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to have probably a combination of a like personalized enough style that people want things from you and can't
Mm-hmm.
get it from other people. Other people don't do the same thing. And also probably have enough of an internet presence that people in all these different areas actually know of you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. As someone who's always looking for like the next artist from my next thing,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I'm waiting for an artist to just say, "I'm coming to the not even just like California. I'm coming to the
Mm.
United States, and I will go
Yeah,
find."
just like
I'm.
I'll find you.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on
Yeah.
to let's see, where is it? Do.
Medusa. Yeah.
Medusa. What can you
Yeah.
tell us about this? How long ago did you get this? Because you did your ankle,
All right.
or yeah.
Yeah. So I got this in sort of in the middle of doing my shin.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd done 3 sessions on my shin, and like I did I did like a session on my shin, and then a week later I got this, and then a week after that I did another session on my shin, because like waiting 2 weeks in between sessions gave it time to heal. But this is the first tattoo that I had the idea for like a couple of years. Like I saw something kind of like this on the internet, like probably when I was 16, 17, something like that. And I like about 6 months ago now, I went, okay, save up the money for it. I found an artist that I really liked. So this is done by Toby Jenkins at Union Tattoo, although I think he's just about to open up his own little private shop. Um, he's a really talented artist. I have so much respect. He's got a really like recognizable style. It's very unique, so I appreciate that. Um, and yeah, so I saved up the money. I found the artist. I booked in with him like 4 months in advance, um, just because it's quite sought after. So he's
That's
booked
the
out quite.
that's
Yeah,
it's a good sign and a bad sign. You're like, cool, they're good enough that they have a four
yeah,
month wait,
yeah.
but also now I
But
got to
also
plan for
I was,
I got to wait
but
four
also now
months.
I have to wait for 4 months. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Um, but yeah, I planned this one out a lot more than I did any of the rest of them. So this is the first one that I'd found the right artist for it, waited the time, booked in advance, like all of that. That was this is the first one that I've ever done that for.
Mm-hmm. How did you find him? Like, what was it? I'm sure as someone who's aspiring to be like a professional tattoo artist
Mm.
and make it as their career, you have a different eye than the general public when looking at an artist. So, do you think you're a bit
Yeah.
more critical? Are you a bit more lenient because you know what goes into it? How did you find this artist?
Well, funnily enough, I actually booked this tattoo before I got my apprenticeship by
So
like
you've
two
really kind of just
months.
speeding
Yeah.
along, haven't you?
Yeah, I booked it like 2 months before I got my apprenticeship. And I I found him just by like I went through all of the like shop Instagram pages, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the like shop Instagrams will like put the handles of the artists that work there in their bio, so you can just find the artists through there and sort of look through them. And yeah, basically I found him through the shop Instagram page, and
Is it just?
initially I was sort of like, I want work by him, but I don't know if it's this tattoo. But then
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of looking at other artists and I was thinking about what I actually want from it. Because originally I thought, like, oh, I want the face to be really realistic. Like, I want it to be like a realism tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
But then I sort of looked at some realism artists and I was like, this is really cool, but I don't know if this is actually what I want on my
Mm-hmm.
body. So I sort of went back and looked at his stuff and I was like, actually, no, yeah, this is right. This is good. This is what I want for this tattoo.
And I noticed that it's black and white, just like all your other
Mm.
tattoos. Are you only giving preference to black and white, or just color doesn't interest you, or nothing that you thought you wanted to be color
Yeah.
has come up? What's the behind that?
Um, I only really have one thing that I've ever considered getting in color. I think color just doesn't particularly interest me, and it might have something to do with, um, I don't know, I think it can clash with like things you wear and things like that. Like, I don't even know if that's an issue or not. As obviously I don't have any color, but I've never really considered it as something I want for me.
Well, that's fair. And then why a band?
Um, I kind of just liked the design, and I like a few other bands. Like an idea I have is the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail. That as a band, I think would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've
I
just
know
seen
that one thanks to
quite
Full
a few
Metal
designs.
Alchemist. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
that's where I
I
learned
haven't.
that one. You haven't seen that?
Mm. No, I haven't.
It's an anime, and its
Oh
main
yeah,
thing is the Ouroboros. So that's how like a lot of people I know of it. But yeah, that would
right.
make a great band. And why Medusa? Obviously Percy Jackson. Obviously all that. What
Yeah,
made this one decide like one like yes, this is the next one.
yeah. Yeah. The mythology thing was part of it, but also I think the thing that decided it being the next thing I got was the fact that it was something I'd wanted for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was something that had just been on the burner, like on the back burner for quite a while. Uh, I think the reason Medusa is it's also an interesting myth for me. I think the sort of different versions of it I find quite interesting because some people view it as like her as like a monstrous being,
And
but there's
sometimes she's
also
the victim.
yeah, exactly. She's like the victim of rape in someone else's temple, which is just
Mm-hmm.
like absolutely horrible. Um, and there's also the consideration of like Athena cursed her with the being able to turn people to stone and snakes for hair. Was that a curse, or was that like a gift of protection?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I like to view it as a gift of protection because also throughout history, the head of Medusa, the face of Medusa, has been used as a symbol of protection. Like it's on shields, it's on a multitude of things
Mm-hmm.
as a like like a protection sigil.
I do want to say I appreciate how you do look past just the normal way people see
Mm,
these mythology and present a different side. I do appreciate that a lot. Not taking things at face value. It really shows something I think about the person who has the tattoo, the thought that they're willing to put in towards just anything and look
mm.
beyond just the flat side.
I I find that's what I find fascinating about myths in general is that there are so many sides. Like for some people, the sort of face value, like that is how the myth is for them. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I just find it really fascinating that you can have all these different angles to a story. And that's obviously what makes a myth because it's like a collective story because it's been retold over so many generations.
Mm-hmm. And the intricacies with all the snakes here, you said you put a lot more
Mm,
thought and planning into this. Did you
yeah.
draw it and present it? Like as an artist, do
I
you bring that and they're like, do this, or hey, I want your interpretation of this?
I so for this one I did do a design of it, but I gave it to the artist as like as a reference.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gave it to them along with like other examples of these kinds of tattoos. Because I was like, this is the design I've drawn up, but like I still want your style on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is still a project I want from you. So I gave it to them as like as a reference, as not as opposed to like I want this. Um, and honestly, from an artist perspective, I would much rather someone came to me with like these are some references, this is the type of thing I like, or like, can you blend these two things, or something like that. I would much rather do something for someone that is custom and interesting and new than like, oh, do this thing off Pinterest. Like,
You're like, this is not why I got into this, but all right, fucking.
yeah, it's like, this is not why I got into this, but I'll do it anyway. Like, yeah.
What
Um,
changed between what you presented to an artist, or what you presented to your artist, and what they delivered? Because I've had that same experience where I go to a tattoo artist and say, "Hey, I kind of got this idea." I draw them a crude stick figure drawing, and they
yeah.
turn it into something beautiful. What changed between what you presented and what was given?
Um, I did a pretty probably in-depth drawing compared to what most people do, just being like an art person
And
that
having
kind of comes
talent.
with it. I just sort of I don't know. I think what changed was obviously the sort of stylistic flares of the um drawing itself,
Mm-hmm.
like the way he draws faces is a little bit different to how I drew my face,
Mm-hmm.
or the way he draws snakes is definitely different to how I drew them. Which I'm very glad of because I'm not good at snakes, and his snakes are very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, just the pretty much just the stylistic flares of the piece itself, and also I guess the way the snakes sit. The face is pretty much the same. Like a face is a face, but the like the way the snakes sit, and I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted them to like that photo you've got up right now is a photo of the back of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no like join mark, which I really appreciate. It just flows together as a band.
Was it um easy to trust him? Because this being your first tattoo, I've talked to a lot of people and they say I build up a trust with my tattoo artist
Mm,
over time, and then I could trust him with bigger pieces and give him more artistic license. Was this just
yeah.
like, I know you're good, here's what I want, I trust you?
I think at the time I booked it, I was a little more like I want this, like I'm specific about this. But by the time I came to actually getting the tattoo, being an apprentice and being around people getting tattoos all of the time and knowing what I would want from someone coming to me, I had a lot more trust in him because
Mm,
I was sort of like, I like your style, I like everything you do. Maybe some of the tattoos you do aren't like, they're not like subjects I would have chosen, but I would still be happy with them on my body because they
mm.
are like good tattoos and I like your style.
It's nice
So
art. I want to
I
hang
sort
that
of
on the
had,
canvas. Yeah.
yeah, I had a like trust there, like everything he does is something I like.
Hmm.
So he's going to do something good with my idea.
That's awesome.
And
And
that's what I would want from someone coming to me as well. Like I want someone to come to me for my style.
was there? Do you? How do you present like the differences, or how do you talk about the differences that the artist has and you have? Because one thing a lot of people aren't comfortable with is telling them, "I don't like that." How do you like? They're
Mm.
scared to go to the artist and say, "No, please don't like." That's not exactly what I want on my body permanently. How do you talk about those differences, or what they want, or how they see it? Like,
Yeah, I
do you just
think,
go like, "Hey, no offense, I can't do that. I don't want that," or is there?
yeah, it's it gets easier as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first couple tattoos, like they came to me with a design and I was like, great, cool, let's do it. Um, like even if there was like little things like I wanted to change about it, I was like, cool, that's great. Um, but like by the time I got to having this one, and I guess this applies to my shin as well, um, I was sort of like, I know what I want from this tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the shin, there was definitely more changes to be made. There was more things that I was like, no, I don't want my whole leg. Like I'm willing to do like the bottom half of my leg with this project. Like I'll do shin, I'll do calf. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want. Um, but with this one, there honestly really weren't many changes to be made. Like it was like the only thing I was really thinking about was do I want this to look like a living creature or do I want it to look more like a statue? And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of, as he was doing it, he did it as it came out, and I was sort of like, okay, yeah, I'm happy with that.
I think it's a nice meld of the two because of the grayscale and the shading,
Mm.
especially like on the nose. It does give that
Yeah,
statue,
it's
but
sort
the
of like a
realness in the
chiseled.
eyes, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really nice. It's a great combination.
Mm.
Um, so that's all your tattoos. What do you have planned to go next? Like
Mm.
what's next on the bucket list of?
I am. I do. I'll go into my next idea, but I am making an effort to chill for a little bit because I got my entire shin and my arm, like my armband, in like a month. Like I got them very quickly, so I'm
If you
sort of like
continue
I'm
at
gonna
this pace.
wait. If I continue at this pace, I will run out of space. Like I I need to hold fire for a bit.
Hmm.
But the next project that I think I want to do is I want like two matching portraits, like on the back of each arm of Medusa's sisters.
She
I
has sisters.
Yeah, there are there's kind of multiple versions of the myth, but there is three Gorgons. Medusa's one of them. Her two sisters are the other ones. Uh, some sources say that they were her like real life sisters, and they were also transformed into Gorgons, or they were born as Gorgons. Um, I haven't really looked into it yet, what I think it is, but I kind of want like busts of them
Hmm.
in like little frames with their names in Greek in the frame, like matching on the back of each arm. I think that would be cool. I think that's next, but we're gonna hold fire for a bit and then we'll find an artist and then we'll see what happens.
Waiting is hard to do. I usually like average out at
Yeah,
like one tattoo a year, and then
yeah,
it was 2019. I even made a post about it on social media. I posted a picture of a tattoo. I'm like, all right, this is my last one. And then 1 month later, I was like,
you're like,
all right, I
I
lied.
got another one. Yeah,
Little did I know it was a great idea because 2020 I'd be getting nothing. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, mm,
So thank you for showing us our tattoos. Let's go ahead and
nice.
we'll start winding up.
Yeah.
For people that are watching, what do you think they need to know if someone's debating getting a tattoo? They don't know. Hey, like, should I just go and do it? People always say, I can't deal with something that permanent on my body. What would you want to say to these folks?
Um, I think I would uh, open with you would be surprised with how much you can actually forget that it's there. I very often forget that the dragon, especially the one on the back of my calf and on
Mm-hmm.
the back of my leg, I don't see it that often.
Mm-hmm.
It's super easy to forget that it's there. Uh, but also, like, if you're the kind of person that doesn't like will like something and then you know that in 5 years time you're not going to like that thing anymore, if you still want to get a tattoo, I would say get something that doesn't have meaning. Get something that you just think looks cool, because if in 5 years time that meaning changes, if it has meaning, that's going to be like a uh-oh. But if it doesn't have meaning, you can still be like, that still looks cool.
Mm-hmm. We actually have a question from Black Hair Joanne. She says, as an artist, when someone isn't sure what they want and their description of what they want is very vague, what do you do? Which I think would piggyback into someone wants to come to a tattoo artist. What do you want to yell at them? Hey, please do this.
Yeah. Well, this actually happened the other day at the shop. We had a girl come in that was sort of like, oh, like I want to get a tattoo, but like I don't know what. And I was essentially like, all right, I'll pull out this flash book, I'll pull out this flash book. Like, what kind of tattoos do you like that you see? Like, pull out the tablet, pull out Pinterest, be like, okay, do you like flowers? Do you like minimalist tattoos? Do you like big tattoos? Do you like small tattoos? Like, you start with the sort of like basic broad questions and then like narrow it down as time goes on. And quite often what happened with this one was we were sort of looking through, she was sort of like, oh yeah, I kind of like flowers, I like leafy things, and then there was like a little bee popped up. And she was like, oh yeah, I like bees. And then we like scrolled through more and she's like, oh yeah, I really like that one. So you kind of just grab onto things
Mm-hmm.
that they say that they like. Like, you can start with stuff that's quite broad and then narrow it down into, yes, I like this design, or I like bees, let's do something with that.
And do you have any regrets about any of your tattoos so far, including your stick and poke?
Mm.
Do you have any regrets overall? Because a lot of people say I'm gonna regret my tattoos. I don't want to regret it. From your own experience, do you have any regrets?
Um, I would, as a baseline, no, because I think that's a useless emotion and a complete waste of time. Like, there is, like, like for me personally, why would I think about whether I regret something or not when I really can't do anything to change it at this point? Like, well, I suppose you can always get things covered and changed and all that kind of thing, but like, why would I think about, do I wish I hadn't got this when, like, that's not going to get me anywhere?
Mm-hmm. Literally just Hakuna Matata, the past of the past.
Yeah, well, like, I I try to always have compassion with my past self on like, maybe I wish I hadn't covered the stick and poke. Maybe I wish that it was still there, just like as this little memory. But also, I did.
you
I made
know,
that
yeah.
decision. That's who I was at the time, and I respect that.
That's how I view tattoos. Is like every tattoo, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones where the ink is blown out.
Mm,
That's the story attached to that is that's who I was at the time.
yeah,
I was the young person. I didn't think it out all the way, and it helped guide me in one way or another to who I am today, who I'm for the most part pretty
exactly.
happy with. So I completely get that, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Lastly, for people who look at someone with tattoos or look at someone in the tattoo profession or looking to get into that,
Mm,
and they say, how can you do this? Like, this is you're marking up your body. It's permanent. These are terrible decisions. and they look down for the most part at people in the
Mm.
community or don't understand, what would you want to say to them to either help bring understanding or try and bridge that?
I'm honestly, that's something I'm sort of reckoning with, especially with my family, because I know, like, is I don't particularly want to put them on blast here, but I know that no matter how good of a tattoo artist I am, no matter how widely acclaimed and talented I am, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to respect it as a career ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not I'm not really sure. That's something I'm still kind of reckoning with, but maybe I would just encourage them to think that not everyone has to exist and live in the same way that you do for them to live a worthwhile and happy life. And I think that can count for a lot of prejudices, not just tattooing. I think that can account for a lot of things.
Well, I really do appreciate your time, Jackson. Thank you very much for being one of our first guests
Thank you for
on
having
Tattoo
me.
Talk Show and Tell. Is there anything else that you want to say? Get out there. Do you want to let people follow you on any of your
Yeah,
whatchamacallums?
uh, there I'm sort of trying to grow my Instagram so that I can have clients and things. So that's Jack underscore A underscore little with no E on the end.
Mm.
Um, so if anyone's in Wellington, New Zealand, is seeing this, come say hi at Underground Arts. I'd love to
I
not
will.
be my victim. I
I
don't
will. I will tell you this: if I am ever in New Zealand, sorry, when I am in New Zealand, I will come to
know.
you, and I would love to get inked by you. So,
Awesome.
well, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, and best luck in all your
Yeah,
tattooing ventures.
no worries.
All right, take care.
You do.
Soup. Boop, boop. And to everyone else here, thank you very much for stopping by to Tattoo Talks. I really do appreciate it. We're looking to get this off the ground. Invite more people. If you or someone you know has tattoos or a good tattoo experience, even that they would want to share, please send them my way. That's on Instagram at tattoo.talks or here. You should be able to whisper me. I'm working on getting my other medias built up. Thank you. Have a great day. And remember that even though a picture is worth 1,000 words, a story behind a tattoo is worth, I don't know. There's something there. I'll figure it out. But take care and have a good rest of your day.